Aw, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Erin. Wow, guys, it's always a pleasure to come back to speak in with the AET group, and it's nice to see some familiar faces, and great to see some brand new faces. So, if you're in Service Learning 295, this is 295, correct? That means you're getting ready to graduate. You're really, really close to finishing, and really considering, definitely, pretty certain that teaching is for you, right? Yeah, yeah, I should see an enthusiastic nod, yes. Yeah, no turning back at this point. And I'm really excited because since graduating in 2011, the AAT programs really just exploded. And I was really surprised to see, I think it was 2 weeks ago when I heard the radio announcement. Yeah, you guys did the radio spot, and I went, wow, these guys are really, really moving the program ahead. So you guys are really part of a really great movement, and LCC is really, really the forefront of teacher education. So you guys should be pretty lucky. I got a lot of my experience. So a little bit about myself. Like Erin said, I graduated in 2011, but it took me a little while to get to the point where I am today. And I see that most of you guys are generally very in the young ages, and a few who are very young. Yeah, so it took me quite a while to get to where I am and to get to the point where I am. And I want to tell you that there's no time limit to get to where you want to go. It's great that many of you guys have followed the track that you're following. Don't be discouraged by failure, because failure is life's way of pushing you in different directions, and I've come to realize that quite a bit. So I graduated in 2011, having had a lot of experience with A+. So I did a lot of A+ prior to getting into the AAT program. So I was a site director for A+ for quite a number of years. That's where I really developed my skill in teaching and developing and working with people and collaborating, and I loved it. And I thought, okay, maybe I can do a career in child development. But when I came back to school, because I stopped going to school and I focused on work, when I came back to school, the AAT just started. Or it was in its infancy stages. And I went, wow, this program is insane. This program really sets you up and really prepares you to, and gives you the foundations you need to really be a successful teacher. So yes?
So when you graduated, was it in the fall or spring of 2011?
It was in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in the fall. Yeah. So it really, really opened my eyes to a whole new world. So a whole new world of teaching, new love of teaching, actually, I should say. And I knew right then and there I wanted to become a teacher. After graduating, I did do a few study abroad things, and what AAT did really opened up the doors for a lot of different opportunities, like studying abroad. So while I was in AAT, I got a scholarship to study in Japan. So I studied in Japan through the Freeman Scholarship that's offered at all the different community colleges. And then while I was at Chaminade, I was still here at LCC, and I was continuing my Japanese lessons, my Japanese language learning, and I was offered another scholarship to teach in Morocco. So I got an opportunity to teach English for about 2 months in Morocco, and this was based off of my experience, just prior experiences as a teacher, and I wasn't even a teacher yet, So it was just so wonderful to have those experiences open, for me to take. So yeah, when those opportunities come, grab them, because they really, really just build you up as a person and as a teacher, and just, to open your eyes to the world. So here I am today. I graduated finally last May with my secondary teaching for high school. How many high school teachers here? Right on. Good luck to you guys. You guys will need it for sure. Yeah, so, and everybody else is second, elementary, I'm guessing, right? Okay, so you guys are almost there. After this is you guys get into your discipline, and you guys are almost there. Don't give up, guys, because it's possible. If I can do it, I know everybody here can do it as well. So do not give up. AAT will set you up for success. Yeah. Yeah, yes, amen, sister, for sure, for sure. Okay, so I am here because I've been able to do some lessons during my student teaching that allegedly, as it, exemplifies the idea of contextualizing lessons. And by all means, by no means am I an expert in lesson planning. So this is just my ideas and my concepts put into practice, okay? So let's go ahead and start. So my lesson today is going to be relevance and the world, and it's basically on contextualizing, okay? Okay, let's go ahead. Yeah. Okay, so, okay, oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I pose this question to you guys. I want you guys to just come up in your head, just the first word that comes to your mind when I ask you the question, what is culture? 5 seconds. 1 or 2 words. Okay, family. Ethnic. Identity. Identity. Traditions. Ooh, good. Mm-hmm. Values. Group. Good. Religion. Good. Anybody else? Oh, smart. Yeah, this group. Right on. I don't even have to do this. Okay, so you know what, guys? You guys are all correct, okay? So let's take a look. Now, according to dictionary.com, and I know dictionary.com is probably a no-notice site, but just for purposes right now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at those words that were listed, those people who mentioned some of those words. Try and see if you guys can fit it into one of these points here. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay, yes, no? Yeah, no? Yes? Yes. Okay, good. You should say yes in some way or shape or form. Yes, yes, very, very much so. Let's focus on number 5, okay? So number 5 is the behaviors and beliefs or the characteristics of a particular social, ethnic, or age group, like the youth culture or the drug culture. Now this I took directly from dictionary.com. So now let's look at a more credible person who might be able to give us a definition of culture. So according to this guy, Edward B. Tyler, he's a really famous anthropologist, probably the forefather of human cultural studies. He says that the sharing of common traits, beliefs, interests, values, behaviors, norms that are viewed as valuable within a group or society. Now, does that make much more sense about what culture is defined as culture? Yeah, absolutely. So, and this is pretty credible since it's coming from an anthropologist, right? We want to believe that, right? Okay, so now let's try and think of some different things. Oh, okay, here we go. All right, now off the top of my head, these were the things that came to mind, okay? Right off the top of my head, and I was doing this PowerPoint, and I thought, all right, let's think of some of these things, okay? So now ethnic groups, and Nettie, is it Nettie? You mentioned ethnic, right? So there you go. So you have your ethnic groups. Ethnic groups really are core part of culture. When you think of the word culture, automatically you think ethnic group, right? Nationality, right? So that's probably the reason why I put up ethnic groups first. Community groups, anything that involves community, right? And right away I thought MAD. I'm part of the Waipahu Community Coalition, so I put that. Any other community groups that might shout out at you? What is it? Neighborhood boards, yes. That's exactly what the Waipahu Community Coalition is. It's a neighborhood board. Yeah, absolutely. Neighborhood boards. Okay.
The extracurriculum sports and things.
Yeah, absolutely. So we probably could put that in schools, maybe pop culture. Definitely extracurricular stuff that students do. Even parents, yeah, they have their own, like soccer moms. That's a whole culture in itself, yeah, soccer moms. Okay. Clubs, just like, who's in the future teacher? Who's in the FTC? Everybody should raise your hand, bruh. How come everybody not raising your hands? Okay, now FTC, I know, no time, yeah, I know, that's our enemy. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, and it's very early stages, so. Yeah, Future Teacher Club, FTC, that's definitely a culture in itself. Yeah, all the different clubs, that's a culture in itself. Who does Zumba? I put Zumba because Erin over there, she shakes it, you know, at Zumba. I'm telling you. I see her at 24 I see her at 24-hour and she is just shaking. I'm like, "Ooh, girl, go ahead, okay?" Okay, now we also have subcultures. So maybe some of this could be part of subcultures. So I thought subcultures as far as dancing, right? So I love to dance. So this is, I put that for stuff of, that's my interest, right? So hula halau, I used to dance hula for a really long time. That's definitely a subculture, yeah? The hula culture, that's a subculture of the Hawaiian culture, yeah? Hip hop crews, anime, cooking and food. Family, church, and schools, that's definitely a part of our culture, yeah? Whether you're part of a church, your religion, your identity, music, film, arts, that's a big part, pop culture, and that's something that we're gonna focus on today is pop culture and technology and social media. That is probably one of the most powerful cultural communities we have right now. It's global. Yeah, you guys know it's global, right? Yeah, so it's a global community. So accessing that is definitely key. Okay, so now we have like a very famous ed psychologist, and he has a really, really great insight on the reason why culture is so important in the classroom. So let's go ahead and take a look at who he is. He's this gentleman right here, Mr. Jeffrey Judd, okay? Who loves Jeff Judd here? He's scary. He scares me. I get very intimidated by him still, you know? Like when I meet him, I'm like, oh, it's Professor Judd. But he's a really great guy, very knowledgeable, he knows his stuff, okay? So he is a professor for UH, as you know. He teaches here. And one of the things that he said on his site is this thing right here. And I went ahead and highlighted it, but I'm going to go ahead and put it right here. Okay? The most important thing was that the student needed to feel a connection or an interest in the material. The more they were able to connect themselves to the subject matter, the more interest they had and thus more motivation. Okay? The bottom line is, why aren't kids motivated? It could be that they're not interested in what you're teaching. So what's he saying here? Is it the kids' fault? No. Whose fault is it if the kids aren't learning? The teacher. Essentially, it goes down to the teacher. And believe it or not, with the new evaluating system for the teachers now with the DOE, everything will fall on the teacher. So when you guys start teaching, guys, you guys will have a tougher job. You really have to, not only impressing the parents or the kids, you really have to impress your admin. And they're really going to be judging you hard whether or not your students are learning. Okay, so these are definitely some really important words of wisdom here. Always remember, if the kids aren't learning, it's not because of the kids. Don't go to the kid and be like, how come you're not learning? What can I do? It's you. You have to really assess yourself and evaluate yourself. What am I not doing? What am I doing wrong? Or what else can I be doing to help the student? Okay? All right. I don't know what's next. Okay. So now, having said that, culture and student motivation. Professor Judd has his PhD in educational psychology with an emphasis in student motivation. So remember when I said pop culture was a really important thing? It definitely is. And he basically is saying, how do we engage our students? By using their interests. Okay. Yeah, tapping into what they're interested in. Creating lessons that directly relate to what they're interested in. So what I put here is just a few different things that definitely students now, even kindergartners. How many of you guys have young children? Young children? How old is your children?
My youngest is 7.
7. Does he have an iPad? She or he have an iPad?
She has
A
a tablet.
tablet? Yeah. And uses it for school, everything? Oh, okay. Okay. But see, case in point, the generation now is getting younger and younger, and they're getting more tapped into technology at a much, much younger age. And this is how students are learning now, is through technology, movies, music, comics, manga, anime, you know, the Japanese stuff, and definitely social media. So if we can, doesn't it make sense that if, oh, no, that's the next slide. Okay, so it makes sense to think that if I can incorporate all these different things into a lesson, how awesome would that be for your students to really, really learn? Okay, to really, really learn. And I'm not saying that every lesson is going to be applicable to this, but if you can just use a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and put just a little bit into a lesson, it will do wonders with your students. Okay, so now as a student teacher, oh yeah, okay, let's go next. Okay, let's talk about the Common Core. How many of you guys are pretty good with the Common Core? That's kind of, yeah, it can be kind of scary, yeah? Is that one of the words that you can think about the Common Core, that it can be kind of scary? Well, you know what, guys, listen. The Common Core, it's a blueprint for your teaching. It doesn't tell you what to teach. It tells you what the kids need to learn, and it doesn't tell you how to teach. And that's the beauty of the Common Core. Okay, the Common Core only tells you this is what your students must learn, and this is the target that your students have to learn, but it doesn't tell you how to teach it. And that's what's awesome about it, because that way you can be as creative as you want. And I can tell you, principals are not going to be like, okay, you got to take this book and take this curriculum and you got to teach it to the script. No, they're looking for innovation, creativity, and just lasting impressions that you make with your students. Okay, that's what they're looking for. Okay, so let's take a look really briefly at what the Common Core is. For English language arts, there's a shift. They call it the shift, okay? So these are the three things that English ELA, language arts, is shifting to in all the grades across the board, okay? So you have to be building knowledge through content-rich nonfiction. Okay, reading, writing, and speaking grounded in evidence from text, okay, both literally and informationally, and regular practice with complex text and what does all that mean? Yikes! What does that all mean? Okay, it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo that just basically says that your students have to be able to read both literary texts, so stories, novels, classics, and nonfiction texts, which is newspapers, articles, and real information. Okay, so that's basically what that means. So now you're going to have to teach this skill. You're going to have to teach this skill. Now, how many of you guys like to read? Okay, cool, okay. Now, if you like to read, then this is definitely something that you guys will be able to implement easily, because you will be able to find the skills, you know the skills that you'll be able to implement directly into this lesson, okay? Now, let's go ahead and let's move to the next one. Let's take a look at math. Okay, math is a little bit more subjective for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's a little bit more subjective, the way that they word it, but math in itself is objective because there's a right and wrong answer, right? Okay, so here. Okay, so developing essential habits of mind, a curiosity and the confidence which will prepare them to be successful as they progress to learn about more sophisticated mathematical ideas. What does that mean, guys? Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's move on to number 2. Okay, believing that mathematics makes sense. I think that's really key for me. For me, I'm an English teacher, but for that, believing that mathematics makes sense, that's really key for me, because a lot of kids are like, why do we gotta learn this? This doesn't even make any sense, right? Okay, so now number 3, believing that mathematics is a valuable tool that can be used to make sense of the world and to make informed decisions in their lives. Okay, so this means that it has to be applicable to the world. In order for them to learn it, it has to make sense, and it has to be, how can I use this out in the world? Yeah. And then finally, motivating students and helping them to realize that they can be successful in math, that math is okay. It's okay if you don't do well in math. You know what? You'll be successful in it anyway. Okay. We're going to give you the tools to make it successful. okay? So now for culture to be relevant in the Common Core, I think to myself, okay, we're trying to teach these students how to be successful in the real world. And we try to teach our students how to maneuver through right, engage and maneuver through these life experiences. But they don't have these real experiences in the classroom. So doesn't it make sense to bring the world into the classroom and these real life experiences into the classroom so that the Common Core can be applied? That's what's the most powerful to me, is that we can do that with Common Core. Bring in the world into the classroom. And for me, that's one of my teaching philosophies, is bringing the world into the classroom. Because believe it or not, some of our students will never ever leave our island. They'll never ever set foot on a plane. They'll never have that spirit to get up and go. And you know what? If we can't do that, if they can't do that, why can't we bring the world to them? Okay? And that for me is such a powerful thing as a teacher. Okay? All right. So for my student teaching, how many of you guys have read the Odyssey? Really? Okay, tell me about the Odyssey. Right? Okay. What is it? Is it Rachel? Why do you shake your head?
Because I don't remember anything that I read.
Okay, you didn't remember anything you read.
Not really.
Okay, anybody else who read the Odyssey? Robbie?
Yes.
How did you like it?
I remember a boat and water.
Okay, a boat and water. That's all he remembers. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else read the Odyssey? Yeah, tell me about it. What do you remember about it? Was it a fun experience learning about the Odyssey?
Are we talking about the Odyssey or the Iliad?
The Odyssey.
We're talking about Ulysses then, right?
No, Odysseus.
Odysseus.
Okay. Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, you know what, guys? For my solo teaching in the fourth quarter this past, I'd say April through May, I was assigned to teach the Odyssey, okay? I've never read the Odyssey in my entire life, okay? And then when I finally got a copy of it, I went, what in the world is this, okay? I went to some of the 9th grade teachers, because it's a 9th grade book. I went to some of the 9th grade teachers to ask about resources, and guess what? None of the teachers teach the Odyssey. None of them taught the Odyssey. The only teacher that was teaching the Odyssey was my mentor teacher, okay? And so she gave me this grand gift, teach the Odyssey, okay? And I went, oh gosh, okay. So it took me a while to really try to figure out, how am I going to do this? I've never read the book. I did not want to read this book that was in this poetic form, so I went to go get a translation. So I actually did find one teacher at Waipahu High School. She is an AP teacher, so she teaches upper secondary, and she teaches the Odyssey, AP, 9th grade AP, and I'm like, okay. All right, so she gives me this book and I get some ideas, and I'm like, okay, this is just not going to work, okay? So where is it okay for us to reference materials?
Yes, it is.
Where?
Oh, you can Yahoo it or Google it.
Yep, and that's the internet, right? Okay, so I directly went straight to the internet, and it's okay, it's not taboo or anything like that. You know, you use it as a reference tool, right, for planning. So you go over there, and I'm looking for ideas, and a few pop up, and I'm like, okay, great, I'm gonna teach the Odyssey this way, okay? So, oh shoot, I'm okay, all right, okay. Can we go back to, okay, so I forgot about this. Okay, so this is the first part of the Odyssey, guys. Let's take a just really quickly glance at it and raise your hand if you kind of, when you give up already. When you give up already. And you don't understand anymore, and you don't want to read it anymore. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is the first opening lines of the Odyssey. This is the invocation. So this is the first part in the story where Homer is kind of praying to the gods, asking him to, you know what, give me the power to tell this story about this man named Odysseus. Okay, now, for you guys looking at this, you're like, wow, okay, this is a ninth grade material. Can you imagine ninth graders actually reading this stuff? No, not at all, not at all.
More like seniors.
You would think, right? You would think, but this is actually a required ninth grade reading. Okay, so it's ninth grade reading. So I wanted to give you an idea of what the text looks like, and this is what it is for the entire book, okay? All right, so let's move on. Okay, so now the challenge for me was, how do I teach the Odyssey effectively so that the students are gonna remain engaged and motivated throughout the whole time, and especially when they had to read text that is difficult like that. So I thought to myself, okay, I definitely need to bring in some type of culture here, okay? So this is what I thought. Okay, I'm going to build interest and motivation during the establishment of the background knowledge. So not even at the start of the reading. I'm going to like take maybe a week or two and start to build this background knowledge about the Odyssey. Okay? So if I build the background knowledge, hey, maybe they'll get interested. They'll be like hyped up to finally read the book. Okay? So I decided I wanted to break it down into 3 sections. The Odyssey is an epic and it's an adventure story. Okay, so that was one lesson that I was going to do. The second lesson I was going to do is it's part of the what? What culture? The Greek culture. Who doesn't love the Greek culture? Come on. You got mythology, you've got falafels. Oh my gosh. Who doesn't love the Greek culture? Okay, and finally, I was going to tap into the actual story and I was going to introduce the idea of the hero. Okay, the hero. Okay, so those were the 3 ways that I was going to go ahead and build this grand background knowledge that was just going to totally get the kids like, yeah, Odysseus, I'm so excited to read about you. Okay, all right. So let's go. Okay, so now the first lesson that I devised. Now, mind you, none of these were actual original lessons that I created. Okay, I didn't. The only referencing that I did was. I'll show you when I reference, but these are actual lessons that I created. So this is the first part. So let's go on an adventure, okay? So this was the introduction to the Odyssey. And at that time, 4 words in a pic was popular, and it probably still is, okay? So can we go ahead and try to guess a few of these? Okay?
Sorry.
Okay? Okay, map? Okay. All right, next one. Okay. Adventure. Okay. Yeah. Travel. Okay. I wasn't, my students actually, they're like, who's that? What group is that? I'm like, oh, you guys make me feel old, right? I know. Okay, and then finally one more. What is this?
Odyssey?
Yeah, I think that's the Odyssey, I believe. I think. Yes, yeah, okay. So that would be the Odyssey. So this was my hook, guys. This is how I hook them in, okay? So every lesson generally begins with a game, interaction. So we call that in lesson planning a hook, okay? Some way that we can engage our students introduce, because I'm not going to go up there and be like, okay, today we're going to learn about the Odyssey. Okay, open your books to page 12. Let's start reading the invocation. Okay, we're not going to do that, right? That's teacher-centered and it's not student-centered. We want it to be student-centered. So by doing 4 pics and a word, right away, students were like, wow, right on, okay, yeah, okay, I got it. And they were like, yeah, okay, what's next? They were ready to learn. So right after this, I incorporated a reflection, okay, a small reflection. So now of all the words that we found on there, okay, I had them fill out this chart, okay, so it just basically, some of the words that are synonyms, and then I asked them to answer some of these questions right at the bottom here, okay? So what are some examples, adventurous? So these are some of the reflection questions that we went ahead and answered after we did that hook section, okay? After we did this, we reflected and we had a class discussion, okay? What is that term when you ask a student a question, they answer, and then you throw it to a different student and you say, so what do you think? What do you think, Garrett, of what Nettie said?
Wait, what?
No, I'm just using as an example. So the teacher throws it to different people to build upon an answer that was created. What is that called? What is it? Scaffolding. That's actually an instructional strategy, but definitely students, I think, believe can scaffold as well with each other. But there's a term that I'm looking for. I know you guys, I'm pretty certain. Starts with a D. Discourse. 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 Have you guys? Socratic. Oh, Socratic method. Who said that? Oh, Jason. Hi, Jason. Yeah. You know what? The Socratic method actually works as well, but I was actually looking for discourse. But yeah, definitely. I didn't even think of that. Thank you. But yeah, so that definitely, when you build upon students' answers and you ask others to continue to build on the answers, what does that force the students to engage in? Academic language, right? Because now we're really focusing on academic language where students are not talking in text. They actually use academic and school language. Okay, so that's definitely a plus here. Okay, so that was one of the ways that I introduced the Odyssey. Okay, so so then I right after that, boom, I started telling them what the Odyssey was about, giving them a little bit of introduction about it and stuff like that, good stuff. But by that point, they were, tell me more, Miss Corpuz, tell me more. And I was really happy about that, okay? The second lesson that I did, it's called It's All Greek to Me, okay? And this is an introduction to the Greek culture, because I wanted them to get an idea of why the story is the way it is, why the story was going and it was happening, opening up the way that it was. So I posed this question to them at the very start of the lesson, and I pose this to you guys right now. How has the ancient Greek culture impacted our modern culture and society today? Anybody? Philosophy? Food, for sure, yeah. Architecture. The Olympics. Good.
Also political too, yeah.
What is it?
A lot of politics and stuff.
Politics, yeah, for sure. Now, definitely, Greece is kind of in a little bit of hot water, yeah. Yeah. Different societies, as in? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That. Yes. Definitely. Sports. Yes, very much so. Okay, good. Wow, that's more than my ninth grader. I'm glad more than my ninth grader said. So that's a good thing. Okay, so let's go ahead. So after I did that, I went ahead and I showed them this picture. This next slide. Okay, I had the students pick out a picture from this slide right here, and I asked them to jot down their thoughts. Why did they pick a picture? When you looked at this, did you go straight to one picture? Or did you kind of scan before you actually picked? Scanned. Okay. All right. Now, think in your head, the one picture that you picked, why did you pick that? What made you pick that picture? Okay, let's hear from Jonalyn.
The image with the Olympics.
Okay.
The reason why I picked it was because that's where, Greece is where all the Olympics and the goddesses would have like their sports.
Right. Okay. Anybody want to add to that about the Olympic rings?
Well, actually, it represents every single ethnic background, like blue, black, red, green. It means for every single ethnic background.
Right. Actually, the flags, the colors of all the flags of the nation. Yeah. Okay. Anybody want to build on that? Agree or disagree? Okay, guys, that's discourse. When you have people build upon each other's responses, having them agree or disagree, have them engage in academic language. Okay? Anybody else want to pinpoint anything else? Anything that jotted out to you, that jumped out at you? Okay? All right, now ninth graders. If you were ninth graders, which picture would you definitely be drawn to right away?
Star Wars.
Start really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have been a Star Wars guy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, how come? How come?
Oh, well, Star Wars is what I watched when I was a kid.
Okay.
It was fun, so, and then I've always been a fan. Plus, there's like lightsabers.
Okay.
Just booming it.
Okay, cool.
Got to Nike and yeah.
Okay, cool. You know what? A lot of the students didn't understand why Star Wars was here. Okay. Okay. So I'll tell you why. Okay. So can anybody tell me why? Might have an idea of why Star? Yes. Yes, Jason. There's an emperor. Okay. There's a okay. Okay. Remember, it has to do with Greek culture, and also it has to do with the Odyssey, right? So this was I think I might have heard it over there, that it's a what? It's a what? A journey, like a journey. It's an epic. This is an epic. It follows the traits of an epic. And we're going to learn that the Odyssey is the very first recorded epic in the world. Okay? So that's how you make that connection there. Okay, now ninth graders, right away, they were drawn to this guy right here. Bam. Okay, Nike. Okay. Why are they drawn to Nike? Brands, brand names. Bro, check out my Nike jacket, bro. Watch out my shoes. Let's step on my new white Nike shoes, right? They're proud of having Nike. It's a worldwide phenomenon. It's a brand that's recognized around the world. Okay? Young people love Nike. Now, how many of you guys know that Nike is actually related, is directly connected to mythology? Darren, I see you. Yes, Darren.
I think it's related to the marathon.
Okay.
Marathon.
Okay.
What is that? There was this one guy who survived the battle. He ran the mount of the marathon.
Okay.
And to say that the battle was won.
Okay.
So I think what it is?
That has something to do with it. How many of you guys know that Nike is actually a goddess? She is yeah. Rachel, you wanna share?
I only know that she's a goddess from our history classes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nike is actually a Greek goddess, and she is the goddess Nike of Sothrace, and she represents victory and competition. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the next slide. Right here, this is the Nike. Okay, this is a statue of Nike. Do you guys know where this is located? Yes. Yes, the Louvre. And where's the Louvre?
Paris.
Yes, it is in Paris, France, guys. This is Nike, okay? Everybody thinks it's just a symbol, it's a swoosh. No, guys, it has direct connection to the Greek culture. Nike is a Greek goddess of Sothrace, and this is her up close right here, okay? When they retrieved her statue, her head was already gone, so they couldn't recover her head. Yeah, so I'm not sure what happened to her head. I think they might have found an ear or something, but okay. So now I actually got to visit the Louvre, and when I posted this picture, you know what happened to the kids? The kids went, "Oh my gosh, this thing is real," and it made this whole thing real, and it brought this realism to the students, and they said, "Oh God, it's not just a picture in a book. It's really real." And you know what happened? Almost the entire class, the hands just went whoop, and I was just like, wow. Everybody had something to say. Everybody had a question, a comment, and I went, wow, this is awesome. Okay, so bringing in an area of realism that connects them directly to it, even if they can't be there, you know what? Bring the world to them. Let them know that this is a real place. This is relevant to your learning. This is not just a swoosh on your sweater. This has a cultural and literal significance. Yeah? Okay, so that was one of the second lesson that I brought in. Okay, so now the third one, okay, remember I said I wanted to discuss about the epic proportions. So epic journey, okay? What is an epic? Okay, so now again, I pose them another question. So we always start with an essential question. There's not ever a time when I don't ever say, this is what I want you to think about, an essential question. Okay, what is something that's being epic? Okay, how do you define the word epic and provide at least 2 examples of things that are epic? Okay, right off the bat, what do you guys think are examples of being epic? Surf, okay, big wave riding, yeah, for sure. 30-foot surf, doesn't even have to be 30 foot, yeah. Yeah, can be ripples, we good, yeah. No, it's epic. Surfing, I think surfing is totally epic. I don't surf, so I just admire people who do, so. Okay, anybody else? Anything else that might be epic? Concerts, okay. Okay, anything else? Okay, did I hear something? Movies, okay. Okay, that can definitely be constituted as epic. Okay, so let's see. So now my students right away said skydiving, and I knew they would say it, so I put it in my PowerPoint, and right away they said that was the first thing. Skydiving, yeah, that's definitely epic, right? Okay, so this is skydiving. I wish it were me on these pictures, that'd be even cooler, but it's not, okay? Then, I put a picture of Mount Fuji because I think from far away it's such a beautiful thing. But then you get this image flying over it and you see this. Okay, this is Mount Fuji from the sky. Okay, so I was flying to Japan and I took this image right here and you can actually see the trail going up to the top, to the summit. And I thought, wow, this is definitely an epic photograph, epic picture. Okay, and then finally the kids went ahead and said, did I include this last one? Okay, so yeah, so can we keep scrolling? Remember this movie? Okay, let's keep going. Okay, yeah, remember this movie? Yeah, it kind of escalated and it ended up to be that. And the dad ended up saying, you know what, I'm shocked, son, I didn't think you had it in you. This is pretty epic, you know? This is the Project X movie that all the kids were like raving about, and I just had to put it in, probably inappropriate, but I put it in just to make a point, right? Okay, let's move on from that. Okay, so now, after I say that, then I finally introduce the idea of what the epic is, okay? So let's take a look really quickly so you guys understand. Okay, it's a long narrative poem, okay? You guys gotta understand, it's a long narrative poem. So it's not even in regular standard English, it's in poetry, okay? Then this epic has these characteristics. It's the setting is massive. So the Odyssey, the setting is the what? Ocean, right? It's the ocean. Okay. The main character is a hero. That's the main thing that I wanted them to understand. That it's a journey and it involves all these supernatural things. Okay. So that's the Odyssey. Okay. Is there anything else? Now, and then the purpose of the epics are to entertain, teach, and to inspire, because epics actually teach a lesson. Okay, now, is the epic hero? Now, I posed this to them, and I went ahead and showed them a picture. Okay, a lot of them automatically thought these were heroes, and understandably, they're 9th graders. Most of their heroes are these superheroes, right? And you would naturally also think that they would be superheroes as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at here. Let's look at the characteristic of what an epic hero is, okay? So who's this? Robbie. Luke Skywalker, yeah, your hero, okay? So these are the characteristics of the epic hero, okay? So he's somebody that society admires, okay? He has all these values, okay? The next one, let's move quick, okay? Harry Potter, okay? Harry Potter. The epic hero fights for a noble cause. Okay, he fights to save society. He fights to save a city. Okay, next one. Here's Superman, okay? The epic hero, he has a mix of mortal and divine blood. Okay, a lot of times the epic heroes are immortal or divine. Maybe not necessarily, but in mythology, most of them are. Okay? Then finally, is that the last one? Okay. Then I also go on to say that sometimes epic heroes are women, because I wanted the girls in the class to also relate to the idea of women being heroes as well. Okay, now did you notice all the pictures? What these heroes are, or these pictures of these people are what? They are part of. Okay, let's go on. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, can we just go through this one really quickly? Okay, this is now I introduce them what an epic hero journey is. And there's a reason why I introduced this is because all the superheroes and all these hero movies and stories that we read about, I wanted them to understand they all follow this pattern right here. Every single hero, every single journey that they go follows the same exact pattern. And the movie that I used in my class, in one of the classes, was Finding Nemo. Okay, so Finding Nemo. Everybody's seen Finding Nemo. So hero is charged with the quest or call to adventure. Why did Nemo? What did Marlin? What started his adventure? His son was what?
Taken by the dead.
Right. His son was taken by the divers, so that started his adventure. Who did he receive assistance from? Dory, right. What were some of the things that he was tested on? The sharks, jellyfish, right? He enters unknown worlds. Where did he finally need to enter? Couple places, yeah. First, he was afraid of going into the open ocean, and then he finally got to where? Australia. Those were okay. So you see where I'm kind of getting, right? So all these hero stories follow this pattern right here, okay? And I wanted them to get that because that was our final assignment. They were going to compare and contrast the Odyssey with a story or movie that they know, okay? So let's go ahead and see if I hope the video plays. I hope it plays. Oh. No? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I had a really great video. Okay. All right. Okay. So that was it right there. Should I go into no bones about it? No need? Yeah? Okay. All right. So that, guys, that was my introduction to the Odyssey. And that after all those 3 lessons, can you imagine the kids were like, Miss Corpuz, let's read already. Come on, let's read. Let's go, let's read. Bring out the book, let's read. And that's exactly what I wanted the kids to have. That excitement, that motivation to want to read it. They've already learned about the hero journey. They've learned about the Greek culture. They've learned about mythology. And at that point, they were ready. And that's exactly what I wanted them to do, was to be ready to read and to be excited. Because once we started reading, that was another story in itself, yeah, because yeah, the lessons started to change a little bit, but you know what? Getting them excited is critical in whether or not a lesson is successful or not, okay? It's critical. Okay, so let me finish up with no bones about it. Oh, okay. Okay, can we pass this one right here? Okay, all right. Can we show all 4 pictures? Okay. What are these pictures? What do you guys think these pictures have in common? To?
Do things like to read, sculpt, put your hand, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, yeah, they're all used all together for one common purpose, actually, one specific purpose. This is a digging tool. That's a brush. It's a pencil, pen, and a rope. To utilize things? Okay. Okay. To do what?
To write and the to,
Yeah.
paint. Yeah, paint, yeah.
Paint?
And then that's a sharp knife.
Any particular occupation might use digging tools and pencils and brushes. Archaeology. Thank you, Nettie. Thank you. Yeah, to do things. Archaeology, definitely, okay? So, guys, I was introducing this lesson to teach. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. So I had the students understand what archaeology is at first. Now remember, I'm teaching an English class, right? So I'm teaching archaeology here. Okay, so I'm crossing the disciplines, crossing the subjects, which is always a great thing when you can encompass cross disciplines, yeah, cross subjects. Okay, so next. Okay, take a look at this photo here. Why is it important for people to study the past?
So they can learn the history to what happened, I guess. So you can learn what really happened, the history of it, the root of it.
Right. So basically to learn about the past, right? So I had the students actually take a look at this picture and I got some really, really interesting responses. Okay, it's a dinosaur. Oh, it's a dragon. You know, like just some really crazy responses. But that's great because you really want your students to be engaged, right? So any type of response is a good response and you always want to praise that, right? Okay, so next. Okay, so this, what I was trying to do was I was trying to introduce this newspaper article that I was going to be doing, this non-fictional reading that I was going to do, and it's catered around an excavation site, and the excavation site is in Italy right here, the boot, right? Okay, so when we take a closer look at the boot, the excavation site that we're talking about is Verona and Mantua. If I say Verona and Mantua, does that ring a bell to anybody, like location-wise? Where?
Verona,
Yes. Do you know what story Verona and Mantua might be related to?
Romeo and Juliet.
Excellent, Robbie. Wow, I wish I had like something to give you, man. Right on. Okay, so Verona and Mantua is the setting for Romeo and Juliet. I had taught this lesson immediately after my mentor teacher and I co-taught Romeo and Juliet. So we did a co-teach together. We did Romeo and Juliet. And this was my culminating, actually Kalea came to observe me during this particular lesson right here. So this was my culminating lesson for Romeo and Juliet, okay? So I introduced the KWL chart. You guys familiar with the KWL? Yes. Okay, good. So K stands for? K, W, okay, and L, okay? So do you know, okay, so when I posted this right here, I passed out the worksheets, and then I posted this picture right here, okay, right here. And I had them answer that KWL chart, okay? So the KW, what do you know? What do you know about this? Okay, so what are some questions you think the students might have said?
Who is that?
Or what do you know? So the K part.
And what happened to skeletons?
Okay, so they're skeletons, okay?
They're dead.
That they're dead?
Definitely.
Yeah? What about like all that stuff that I introduced earlier?
Well, the human skeleton.
Okay, human skeletons, okay? Okay. Right, that there might be history behind it, right? Okay, now, how about the W? What do you want to know? What do you think some of the students might have asked? Remember, we just did Romeo and Juliet.
I'd like to know when did they die? When did it take place?
Right? When did they die? When did it take place?
Yeah, like if they, or who does we
Right. Who? Some of them were dead set. That's Romeo and Juliet. Oh my God, Miss Corpuz, that's Romeo and Juliet. Okay, I said, okay, well, let's keep that in mind. Okay, so then, of course, the else column you fill out later, right, after you go through the lesson. Okay, so then I posted up what the heading of this was. This article, Prehistoric Romeo and Juliet Unearthed at Burial Site. So right away, the students, oh my gosh, that's Romeo and Juliet. That's Romeo and Juliet. I mean, they were dead set that was Romeo and Juliet. Okay, but the thing is, this was actually, it really was. This excavation site was found in Mantua and Verona. So exactly where the same setting were. Two people died embracing. That's how Romeo and Juliet died. They died in embrace, and together, they died together. And Romeo and Juliet died in a double suicide, right? So they made those connections, and they're like, no, that's definitely Romeo and Juliet, okay? So now, then I say, okay, so this was the article that we were going to be focusing on right here. This was the article. I won't have you read it. I just wanted to show you that this is the non-fiction text. So this is a newspaper article that my students were going to be reading, which targets the Common Core, right? For informational text. Okay, so Okay? All right. So then, ta-da! Here is the lesson. It is actually a lesson that I told the kids, okay, we are now going to critically read. Okay? So now what do you think the students feel when they realize the lesson is on critical reading? Okay, yeah, actually I did get a few of those, but you know what? That KWL chart and all that stuff that we did prior about looking at the pictures, getting questions, filling out that chart, you know what that's called? That's pre-reading. So that's called pre-reading. And the kids already knew what the article was going to be, about, right? They already knew it was going to be about archaeology. They already knew that it was going to be about these bones that were found in Italy and Verona and Mantua, right? They already knew that it's probably a man and a woman, okay? So once they started reading, all they had to do was find all those points, right? Fill in the blanks, annotate, which is what I walked them through it. I explained to them what the critical reading process is, why it should be used, why it's important in English. Okay, can we move to the next one? Okay. Oh, okay. So, I think I took out all that stuff. Okay, so after having done that lesson, I think that was the lesson for me that was probably the most meaningful, because I really, Waipao High School is doing a shift in their reading program. So for me to have taught that lesson, I was really directly impacting the students right at the meat of things, you know. So when I was being observed, I also got really good praise for this lesson from my administrators as well. So I was really, really proud of that lesson. So, okay, so making lessons culturally relevant, guys. This is not, you may find this in books, but these are my points. So again, like I said, I'm no expert in this, but you know, engage prior knowledge, use background experiences, use the experiences the students have, prior learning, ask them questions, tell a story, share pictures, build their interests, show videos, use PowerPoints, and use definitely technology. You guys have taken ed technology? Yeah. You know what? Technology is critical. Yes, Nutty.
No, no, no. I would just respond saying I'm gonna change technology.
Okay, yeah, that's a very, very useful class, a very, very relevant class. Make connections, establish relevance, use culture, definitely use culture as your basis for your lessons. Incorporate culture into your lessons as much as you can. Tap into their interests, tap into music, tap into movies, tap into food even. Food is definitely a great motivator for lessons. Food I would use definitely in math. Yeah, math I definitely use food for. Yeah, for counting. Manipulatives, they're great, great manipulatives. Yeah, like little pieces and here and there. And then post knowledge and data interpretation. I just added that on because why are you going to teach students if you're not going to have them reflect on their learning? Okay? Make sure that you always have them reflect on their learning. This is how they produce new learning. What is that term called when you guys use knowledge and your experiences to create new learning? Oh man. Professor Judd's favorite word starts with a C. Cognitive thinking, and the whole umbrella of that is constructivism. You know, Jean Piaget and Vygotsky. Yeah, they're scary people. I would forget that too. Yeah, no, okay. So definitely, guys, these are my points for sure. I know that you're going to continue to learn and to develop your own ways of lesson planning, but definitely as a critical point, culture. You can never go wrong with any facet of culture. Family, ethnicity, food, dance, music, video, okay? Social media. Don't be afraid to use it because you will go as far as your imagination will let you. Your administration is not going to tell you, no, you cannot use Facebook to teach, because if you're teaching those kids and they're learning through Facebook or whatever, you know what? Use it. They're not going to tell you. All they care is that you're meeting the standards, yeah, the Common Core. And like I said, the Common Core doesn't tell you what to teach. It tells you, doesn't tell you how to teach it. So that's for you to decide. How do I want to teach these standards? Yeah. Okay, and having said that, I think I'm good, yeah.